So listen to this. A full 90-minute game without touching the ball. A man laughed at because he played an entire World Cup without landing a single shot on target. A man who became the face of ineffective striker meme. And yet, at the very same time, was called by Eden Hazard the best target man in the world. This is the story of Olivier Giroud. If you haven't subscribed to Prime Focus yet, go ahead and hit that button. Because if not, don't worry. The next story we drop will be so good you'll subscribe by accident. A player whose career proves that perception and reality can live on opposite ends of the universe. And before we go deeper, let's clarify something. That viral 90 minutes, 0 touches stat that circulates around TikTok, Instagram, and football meme pages, completely fake. Total fabrication, pure social media myth that spread because mocking someone is easier than understanding the truth. And that World Cup where he supposedly offered nothing, well, France lifted the trophy with him starting every knockout match. Ask Deschamps, ask Mbappé, ask Griezmann, ask any coach or teammate who has ever played with him. They will all tell you the same thing. France didn't win despite Giroud, they won because of him. And this contradiction, this tension between what people think Giroud is and what he actually brings has been the defining theme of his entire life. He is the kind of player who makes everyone around him better. The kind of striker whose presence transforms a team's structure, spacing, chemistry, and rhythm. In basketball, they have a statistic called plus minus, which measures how much better or worse a team performs when a certain player is on the court. Football doesn't track this officially, but if it did, Giroud would live at the top of those charts. The thing is, Giroud doesn't fit into the modern stereotype. He doesn't sprint like Mbappé. He doesn't dribble like prime Hazard. He doesn't carry the ball like Benzema or shoot like Lewandowski. But this is precisely why so many fail to understand him. They look at him and see a tall, old-school number 9, a big man with good link-up play. What they fail to see is that Giroud is the final surviving fusion of two worlds. The classic target man who can bully defenders, and the modern forward whose technique, vision, and tactical intelligence allow elite attackers to thrive around him. That blend is extremely rare. And because it's rare, people assume it's outdated. But Giroud has spent his entire life proving the opposite. And maybe this tendency to underestimate him didn't start on the pitch. Maybe it began long before, even before his first breath. Giroud once said something truly heartbreaking. Even in my mother's womb, I had to show that I belonged. His mother had him at 36, already raising 3 children, and admitted he was not a planned pregnancy. That emotional wound shaped Giroud more than any coach or club could. It made him fight from the very beginning. Meanwhile, his older brother, Romain, was the golden boy, the prodigy. Romain was the star of the region, playing at the prestigious Clairefontaine Academy with names like Henry, Anelka, and Trezeguet. Scouts loved him. Coaches adored him. France's youth teams called him up consistently. He was the one destined for greatness. And Giroud watched all of this from the outside, idolizing his brother, wanting to be him, admiring him to the point of obsession. But then Romain's dream crumbled. After years of promises, Auxerre refused to give him a professional contract, stringing him along until he broke emotionally. By the time his former teammates were lifting the World Cup, Romain was walking away from football, shattered. Watching his brother fall apart terrified young Olivier. It convinced him that football was a dangerous dream, one that could destroy you inside. When Clairefontaine eventually stopped calling him, Giroud made what felt like the safe decision. He turned away from football and focused on an economics degree. But even as he studied, he couldn't fully detach. Something inside him refused to let go. As much as he saw the pain football brought to his brother, he also saw the glory, the joy, the possibility. So when Grenoble offered him a place in their reserves, he took it. And to their surprise, he delivered. 15 goals in 15 games in the 5th tier of French football. That earned him a trial with the first team and eventually a professional contract. But even then, he was nowhere near the top. When he asked to be loaned to the 3rd tier for more minutes, the coaches agreed. And though he scored 14 times, a brutal drought across 10 matches overshadowed everything. By the time he returned, a new manager told him straight to his face, "You don't have what it takes to play at the top level." Imagine hearing that at 21, after years of climbing from nothing. It would have broken most players. But just as he was ready to quit, Tours FC called. Another second division club, another long shot. And Romain told him, "I would give anything to be in your place. Make the changes and you'll reach the stars." Those words became the spark that lit Giroud's entire career. Injury slowed his first season, but in the second, something clicked. He transformed into a monster of a striker. 15 goals in 18 matches, and suddenly his value shot from 50,000 euros to 3 million euros. That's a 6,000% price explosion. Celtic wanted him. But Montpellier's president practically yelled at him. "Why would you go to Scotland? Stay in France." And so he signed for Montpellier and wrote one of football's greatest underdog stories. As Qatar-backed PSG spent absurd sums building a super team, everyone assumed the league title was theirs before a ball was kicked. But Montpellier refused to play the role of victims. They fought, they clawed, they surprised everyone. And Giroud led them. Hat tricks, last-minute winners, heroic assists. He produced 37 goal contributions that season, single-handedly winning 32 points. Without him, Montpellier would have been mid-table nobodies. With him, they dethroned the richest club in the country. They became champions. And as they lifted the trophy, the world finally looked up and said, "Who is this guy?" Arsenal knew. They activated his forgotten buyout clause for just 12 million euros, one of the biggest bargains in Premier League history. But Giroud's start in England wasn't glamorous. 1 goal in 3 months, while Van Persie dominated for Manchester United, made critics tear him apart. The English media mocked him, Arsenal fans doubted him, but Giroud responded the only way he knows, with hard work. Soon, he was scoring in derbies, linking up beautifully with the midfield, winning Player of the Month, and carrying Arsenal past their rivals. He helped end Arsenal's trophy drought with a clever backheel assist in the FA Cup final, securing their first silverware in years. If you haven't subscribed to Prime Focus yet, go ahead and hit that button, because if not, don't worry. The next story we drop will be so good you'll subscribe by accident. But he wasn't done. A broken leg should have ruined his momentum, but Giroud returned in record time and delivered 19 goal contributions in 19 games, earning Player of the Month again. He scored crucial goals in Europe, hit scissor kicks, produced insane link-up plays, and left his fingerprints all over Arsenal's resurgence. Yet the fans never fully embraced him. They criticized him for being too slow, too rigid, too predictable, all while ignoring that he was scoring nearly as frequently as the league's top forwards. Even after carrying France to the Euro 2016 final, even after Griezmann called him the most selfless player in football, even after becoming famous for clutch goals and unbelievable improvisations, fans still treated him as a meme. Arsenal benched him. France's fans booed him. The world underestimated him again. And what did Giroud do? He delivered. Again, a scorpion kick that won the Puskas Award, last-minute equalizers, FA Cup heroics, elite super sub performances with some of the best minute-per-goal ratios in Europe. But Arsenal still replaced him, so he moved 10 miles across London to Chelsea. And that's where fate gave him his most poetic revenge. First, he won the World Cup, without scoring a goal, but contributing in ways statistics couldn't measure. He bullied defenders to create space for Mbappé. When Giroud came on in the first match after France struggled for 70 minutes, the team instantly clicked. From that point on, he became undroppable. France's entire system revolved around his presence. Mbappé said it himself. With Giroud on the pitch, everything changes. I am free. And the world finally began to understand the value of the striker who doesn't need goals to dominate. Then came the Europa League, Giroud's personal symphony. He scored 10 goals, more than anyone else. He carried Chelsea to the final. And destiny delivered the perfect opponent, Arsenal. The club that replaced him, the fans that ridiculed him, the stadium that once booed him. And what did Giroud do? He destroyed them. Diving header, assist to Pedro, winning the penalty. Link-up play for Hazard, a masterclass. Chelsea 4-1 Arsenal, Giroud top scorer, Chelsea champions, Arsenal humiliated, and Giroud cemented his legacy as one of the most underrated players of his generation. But the story didn't end there. If you enjoyed and happy with this and want to be continued, let me know in the comments. And again, if you haven't subscribed to Prime Focus yet, go ahead and hit that button. Because if not, don't worry, the next story we drop will be so good you'll subscribe by accident.